Hi, welcome to the Stitch TV show. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Pam. We're happy you're joining us today. The Stitch is an online quilting talk show, the perfect soundtrack for your sewing room. Join us for twice monthly talk shows, virtual stitch-ins, celebrity interviews, and podcasts. Learn more at thestitchtvshow.com. Our show today is brought to you by Ink and Arrow Fabrics, a division of QT Fabrics. Pixie dots. So, not a UFO for my unicorn.
It so looks like one. I'm sorry.
Is pincushion caddy, which
It
also
is very
helpfully
nice.
fits a unicorn.
There you go.
So
it's a UFO for the unicorn.
Yes.
It's
Slash-
multifunctional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is the diversity
that
of the
we
Pixie
offer.
Dots line.
That we offer as the Stitch TV show.
Yes.
Diversity.
But this is a free pattern available, and I will link to that in the show notes. So if you guys want to make your own, it is like an English paper piece thing, and it goes together pretty quick.
Oh, that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah. You got to have like some old cereal boxes laying around.
Oh, to make the
because you need some
template.
structure. There's like some cardboard in there to give it some.
Oh, to give it
some structure.
There you go.
But also, tiny UFO for assault.
That is
unicorn.
A big pincushion. That's a serious pincushion.
But this is perfect because I have one on my cutting table, and it holds like scissors, rotary cutter, marking pins. And
good.
And then if you're super
organized,
I was going to use a different word, like me, then you put different types of pins in each section. This is for the round head pins, and this is for the flower pins, and this is for the safety pins.
Oh, God. Okay. Yay.
That's special.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the many ways and how I'm different than Pam and don't separate my pins, but also half square triangles, fabric postcards, and we're joined by the baby version of the Emilio quilt, and you can get the digital pattern at shop.thestitchtvshow.com. So,
Lynn, we got sad news. The week that we're recording.
Yes.
Incredibly sad news.
It was. I just read it maybe, 30 minutes before we came in here to sit down and record, and I have to admit I'm really sad. Just read on Facebook how Nancy Zeman is retiring from Sewing with Nancy and retiring, essentially from the industry because of her health issues. And she goes into detail about the cancer and stuff she's going through. But I feel like she's not like a quilter, that's all she does. But, gosh, she's affected our industry amazingly and been such an icon for years.
And made sewing more accessible, I think, which is something definitely needed because there's still this air of mystery, like, oh, you make things. How do you even do fabric?
With a sewing machine, yes, it's crazy. And I was just incredibly sad when I read it, but thankful that she has just been a great industry personality. And we don't know her, I've never met her, but man, I've watched a ton of her shows and learned a lot from her PBS show. So I was and bought stuff from Nancy's Notions. And, I was just sad to see the heartbreak of what she's having to go through. And I don't know, I just wanted to say thank you, Nancy, for everything you've done for our generation and as becoming, people who are interested in sewing and quilting. And, granted, I'm a quilter per se, but we make stuff like home deck, and you made your shirt, and and I have to admit, a lot of that's from her influence in the sewing industry. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done, Nancy. We were with you in prayer and hope this is a good step for you. Yeah. So, but sad you're leaving us with your show. So anyway. That's kind of sad.
Have you read her biography?
I haven't. Have you read it?
Yeah. Actually, our local library system has it, and I know you can get it online as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but it's an interesting story, and I love her story of everyone has like the first outfit they make if they are doing garment sewing. And what she described, I'm like, oh yes, have been there. So she did hers through, I think, the 4-H club or the county fair.
Right.
And very sophisticated fabric choices for a teenager. I'm like, and it reminded me when I was in 8th grade or 7th grade taking 8th grade home ec because of my schedule, because, it's advanced.
Right.
Just kidding.
No,
And I was the only one to
not
make something
surprised.
with a zipper because I had been sewing for 8 years at that point. I started sewing when I was 5 with my mother and my grandmother. And just looking back, like, I chose like a business lady dress to make in 8th grade. And it was the 80s, so it was like Jamestown blue or Williamsburg blue, I think, with like tiny dusty rose colored little
rose.
flowers. And it had a little puff sleeve, a little gathered sleeve, and then some tucks. And
Wow.
just imagine like
That's a lot of work.
80s business lady dress with like the flat front and then the high neck. And then
Do you have the little collar, the little lace
It didn't
collar?
have a collar, no.
Okay.
No, let's keep it simple. Clean lines.
Clean
except for all
lines.
like the pleats and the gathers and the
So
weirdness.
there's a lot of
First time I wore pantyhose
shoulder pads.
was wearing that dress in the fashion show that we all had to put on the auditorium.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're so excited to wear pantyhose when we were a kid, and now I'm like,
Oh,
never,
No.
never
Like
again.
maybe only if I rob a bank and it's on my head.
No.
By the way, no
No.
plans to do that anytime soon.
No. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I just such an interesting read.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to read it. I have to admit, I was really sad when I read the blog post this morning, and just wanted to say thank you, Nancy. Thank you for contributing to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm interested in. And I know she was a definite influence in that. So,
Yeah.
for a lot of us. Anyway.
So let us get to the task at hand.
What is the task at hand? What are we talking about first?
Half square triangles.
Oh,
so
the important half square triangle.
On a previous giveaway,
yes,
which is now closed, we had asked, one of the ways to enter was leave a blog comment with one of what your favorite half square triangle construction method is. Because, in the Emilio pattern, there's a number of half square triangles of kind of different sizes. I'm like, I'm curious. Like, I have a favorite method. Do you have a favorite method?
I don't know that I do.
Then you fall in the 9% of people that responded that said, my favorite method is whatever the pattern says I should do.
But I'm not always reading a pattern, so mine is whatever the heck I want to do.
But what do you usually default to? Just like, half square triangle. What do you do?
I usually it depends on how many I need.
Okay.
So if I need 2 of the same fabrics,
yes,
I'll cut the square and put 2 together, I use this, the magic wand, Quilter's magic wand that Stitch has been holding for me. So I cut the square, and then I draw a line down the middle, and then I draw this will be 1/4 of an inch on each side. And then I stitch on the 1/4 of an inch and cut on the line down the middle. And then that gives me 2 half square triangles.
That is.
And I think you have to, it's 7/8. So if the finished size is
so in theory
3 inches, you need to cut your squares 3 7/8.
Yes, and do the diagonal thing.
And
that assumes that you didn't cut your squares wonky and that you stitched exactly on the right kind of
I
line.
usually cut it an inch bigger just to make sure.
Right. There's a lot of, so 28% of our respondents said they like to cut the squares a little bigger. So like the inch bigger instead of the 7/8 bigger, and then trim.
Yep. But I think you just, whatever other techniques are out there, but that's if I only need like 2. I only need 2 half square triangles. If I need a ton of half square triangles, I use a different technique. Nope, I don't use that technique. But talk about
one of the few specialty rulers that I regularly use.
I wonder if I have this.
You probably do. This is the Easy Angle.
Yeah, I think I do.
It's by Sharon Holtgreen for Easy Quilt.
Okay.
And so this is a 6.5 inch side, so it'll do up to 6.5 inch or 6 inch finished, I think. No, 6.5 inch finished. And so what I like about this is that if you're doing a 3 inch finished half square triangle, you cut a strip of fabric 3.5 inches, and then you line up this 3.5 inch line.
This.
Yeah. And you kind of flip it back and forth. Bonnie Hunter has a great tutorial on this. We'll link to that because she uses this regularly. Well, she has a new ruler now.
Oh,
she has her own ruler.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That does multi-purpose because there's a companion angle too if you want to. This could also be the wings of a flying geese unit.
I do have that then. I just don't use it.
I like this one because the whole strip thing, because then the way I manage my scraps is then to cut down scraps into various sizes. And one of the sizes I cut is 3.5-inch squares. So it's very easy for me just to move straight on into cutting that. So, and this also saves me having to mark, which I hate because to me it's an extra step. Like I could have spent that time stitching. Why did I have to mark things? Although I do have.
You have the magic wand too by OmniGrid. It's different. This one is by Studio 180
That's
Design.
Deb Tucker.
Deb Tucker, yeah.
Now she
but her
also
website is 180 Design.
Yeah.
So
so I have a chart, y'all. Hold on. There's a chart. And we'll put this in the show notes directly so you can link over to that. So 28% of people said they like to cut it oversized and then, do the whole mark on the diagonal and trim.
Oh, see, I'm in that.
Yeah, you're in that. And then another 30% didn't necessarily oversize and trim, but just mark on the diagonal. So that's with the 30%.
I probably really just do that.
I know, yeah. 7% use paper piecing. So something like triangles on a roll.
I do that. Well, and I have triangles on a roll.
Look, it's a roll and triangles.
And you buy different sizes.
Behold.
According to what finish size you're looking for. So I have a variety of triangles on a roll. According to what size. And you can also do quarter square triangles on a roll. Not just half square.
Okay. That's the one that looks like an hourglass.
Yes, exactly. So they have those too. They also have a product called Fangles.
Yes.
Which you would cut a strip and just do it in a strip. So, but the one that I probably use the most if I'm paper piecing is a software program
like not a problem.
It's not a problem. Called Triangulations, and you can buy that at quilt. I bought mine at a quilt store or at a show or something, and it gives you PDFs of half square half square triangles all the way up to 8-inch finished.
Yeah.
Whatever it can fit on a piece of paper. And what I like about that one is, let's say, and I've done this, I'm going to do a border of half square triangles because I'm crazy. And it will take 500 half square 1-inch half square triangles. So you just you print out 1 inch. I did this. I can show you the quilt.
That's not right.
It looks gorgeous. So it was these cute little. It was on a pineapple quilt, which already had enough piecing. It was insane. So I put 2 half square triangle borders on it, 1 2-inch border and 1 1-inch border on the outside of that. So you could, and it's a queen size quilt. So you can imagine.
You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
My 6-inch half square triangles keep me just as warm.
So, but then it was cute little, it was dog prints. And so it was this cute little black and white bone fabric with white half square triangle. It was super cute. So anyway, I printed out the triangulations paper on regular copy paper. I know you can get the cheap stuff though.
Yeah.
So that it's thinner weight. Yeah. Get the thin weight stuff. And shorten your stitch length. Anytime you're doing paper piecing, shorten your stitch length.
Yes.
And it allowed me, I would just do, I think I did, 15 or 20 different pages of those triangles. And then just cut them all up and ripped out the paper and sewed them all together. And they were super cute. We may have to hang that quilt sometime. It's a gorgeous quilt. And it's got
6-inch square triangles in this one.
2 borders, 1 2-inch, 1 1-inch. And they were gorgeous. It turned out really well. So I used triangulations on that one. So it depends on what I'm doing. But the thing with that is, it's all the same fabric. Yeah. Whatever's on that paper is all the same fabric.
It's not scrappy.
Yeah. Now, does anybody use like this is your
I did not sign up for charades.
Charade. Sizzix or AccuCut.
One person mentioned AccuQuilt.
That they can cut the dies. I was thinking that
it's about 15% said that they use specialty rulers, and then there's kind of the Easy Anger ruler was mentioned a couple times. Block lock was mentioned, which is kind of another way.
I don't have a block lock thing.
Well, the good thing about
maybe they should send us one and I'll try it.
With block lock, it's kind of the similar where you oversize, mark them so on the diagonal, and then you press it. I'm not sure because I don't have block lock either. If you press open or to the side, but that seam, there's like a tiny cutout in the ruler. So if you look at it flat, there's like a little notch in there that you would center on that seam and use that to trim.
Yeah. So I don't use that, so I don't know.
Yeah. But that had a couple votes for people that really like that. And then the Angler 2, and I think Deb Tucker also has her ruler as well.
Right. I'm not sure. I don't know.
We're hearing a beeping.
Oh,
that's you?
Yeah, somebody's trying to call me. We'll talk to them
we're
later.
Busy.
We're busy.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
Block lock, sure, we'll take your call.
I don't know where the... Okay, so yeah, block lock, let us know. Anyway.
Leave a VM. Well, all people will call your people.
That's what we should do. I've not used block lock, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
big fans out there.
Big fan, like it's a big deal.
But if you're a fan of, trimming, which I am not. I just hate trimming. That's why I like my ruler.
Well, with the paper piecing, they're or triangulous, you have to trim, but it's just on the line.
Right.
So you're not trimming and then trimming. Now, if you do the oversize, you have to trim down.
Yeah.
So, but you always have to cut off your dog hairs.
Yeah, but I could just kind of like snip those with some scissors.
True, but I'm just saying.
I don't go full precise.
Still.
Especially when there's like
trim
900,000 in a scrappy pattern.
Still have to trim them. So anyway. So anything else about...
Okay.
How many, I mean...
Do you ever go crazy?
Yes, a lot.
In this particular way that I'm going to describe.
Okay.
Because you didn't let me finish.
All right, sorry.
So have you ever done made fabric and used that as half of your triangle? So for example, in this triangle here, if you took one half and that was, you stripped fabric together or you did different stuff, because that can give you an interesting look. Which technically still a half square triangle.
Technically, I just did that with the pattern main squeeze. Amazing that I just did that. Yes.
I wasn't even thinking of that pattern when I asked you that, by the way, because that pattern is like gone out of my head. I'm like, D for done.
So yes, technically I even wrote a pattern on how to do it.
Shocking. Okay. Shocking. Now another way that isn't necessarily spelled out in my handy chart, but our friend Judy uses.
Okay.
Similar to what you do in main
squeeze.
When you sandwich two squares right side together of the same size. So it could be charm squares. It could be layer cake. That's the one.
Or any square that
any
you
size
have.
Square.
Any size square that you have.
Sandwich them right sides together and sew all 1/4 inch around all the way around it, around the perimeter, and then cut it on the diagonal. And then those fold out and you've got 4 half square triangles.
Right.
Now the trick there is that your edges are bias edges. So you want to be careful that you're not warping or doing anything. And you can use starch to help stabilize that.
Starch is your friend on those.
Or you could just like be careful.
Starch. I use starch. But yes, you do have to, just don't go crazy with your, ironing.
Yeah, because you'll get a scorch mark.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Just
now, I will say, so speaking of Nancy, she's got a series that just ran of 3 episodes about using pre-cuts. And she showed on the 10-inch layer cake square doing the marking where you are marking, I think, on both diagonals. And then you're stitching on either side of that. And so you're trimming on that diagonal line, and then you're also trimming on the up and down vertical. And you end up with 8 half square triangles.
Okay, she totally lost me.
I know. I'll have to link to her episode.
I'm not.
But that's another kind of multiple at the time.
You were drawing and
yes,
I got lost. Sorry. Poof. And I was listening too. I got lost.
And so Nancy has a specialty ruler for like how to mark those squares, and I think it does multiple sizes. Again, but I'm kind of like, marking, not my friend. But with that method, because you're getting 8 instead of 4 out of the one, everything has a straight of grain edge instead of a bias edge.
Oh, well, then that's nice. Although honestly, and maybe it's just because I've worked with bias enough that I kind of know how to handle it. But I think once you've worked with it enough,
you're okay
it doesn't. freak me out or anything. Like, I don't even think about, oh, this is a biased edge. I just am not stretching, like going, let's sew this right before you put it under the needle. You know, sometimes biased edges help you.
Yes.
Like meet points that you want to meet.
Yes,
like stretch a
they
little.
do.
Like, ooh.
Sometimes with the fabric, stretches just enough to get that
Just enough to hit that point the way you want it to. Yeah. So bias can be your friend. It doesn't necessarily have to be horrible, scary thing.
True. Have you ever used the Angler 2? I think there's an Angler 1 as well that you tape on your the bed of your sewing machine.
Yes, I do that. Actually, I have that taped, not currently, but I've had it taped on the bed of my sewing machine when I first started sewing for years. And it allows you, it's got these lines. You tape it on the bed of your sewing machine and you line it up with the needle. And as you're sewing, you're watching the lines so that it stays square.
Yeah.
And that's very helpful. I don't think I need it as much now because I kind of have it. But yeah, and I just taped it down with painter's tape.
A handy tool reference.
A handy tool reference to our last show, painter's tape.
Well,
use it all the time.
2 shows ago, 301.
Whatever it is.
Some show where we sat and talked about quilts.
We talk. It cracks me up because, I've noticed that people are binge watching us and they binge watched like 2 years ago shows.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what I said.
Like, I'm sure that's cute.
Like, someone corrected my statistic, and thank you for doing that, but I didn't remember.
Yeah, it was like the population of something.
Manhattan or something.
London. Manhattan.
I don't know.
Some
it was Manhattan.
City. Sorry, England.
Sorry. We got it wrong. I got it wrong. I'm sorry. And thank you for correcting me, because I don't like to be wrong. I mean, I'm okay with being wrong, and I will apologize. I'm not stubborn or anything like that.
Yeah, I was like, please do not hesitate to help us do our jobs better.
Exactly.
I said that to someone at work this week, and he was shocked. I'm like, I work in marketing. I can't go out there and be saying wrong stuff. Like, that's not right.
Like, really? I'm okay. Tell us if we're wrong. Okay. So anyway, but there it is.
There you go.
There it is. So anything else on
how do you
square triangles?
Here's an open-ended question. What makes a successful half square triangle? See?
That it's square?
Well, that's right there in the name. That's some branding right there.
Yeah.
In terms of
my half square triangles are square. Thank you very much.
In terms of fabric selection, because there's multiple examples of this quilt behind us.
It depends on what you're doing. That's such an open-ended question. Because okay, this isn't a great example of a hard edge because the fabrics are so similar in value, so you don't get a really hard edge as compared to the black and white and the gray. So what do you want? What are you looking for?
Exactly.
So I don't think that's a
because when they're similar, they just look like a square.
Yeah. And sometimes it'll give you depth, or sometimes it'll be stark, like my crazy 2 borders, which were black and white, and then white, and it was very hard edge. And what we mean by edge is that you can truly see the edge, and that there's nothing competing against it. It's very...
They don't bleed together.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it depends on what you want, What is your quilt? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What's it going
in? Less contrast edge means that it's more forgiving on your points if they don't exactly match.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Now, when you're pressing.
Yes.
What's your preferred pressing for half square triangles?
Press to the dark. I press to the dark. And this scares you? Like this is scary? I'm not sure why you're going.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I can't sing that too much. We'll have to pay royalties. I was doing the Imperial March by John Williams in Star Wars, because
I like that you pulled out the why can I not?
I don't know.
The person who wrote it, like you pulled out the.
I hope I got his name right. Now I'm freaking out about that. Yes, I'm getting a nod from the nerd. I got the name right.
Composer. That's what I was looking for. Composer.
The dude that wrote it.
God, I love our production staff. They help so much. Hooray.
Yes.
I'm wondering if... Never mind.
So I Typically, yes. I would not press a dark fabric to the light side, but I have gotten to where I am pressing things open more.
Nope.
Just so they lay flatter on half square triangles.
I press the dark almost exclusively.
I used to. It depends also on how I'm putting them together. If I'm making half square triangles and then putting them into a block versus they are the block themselves. It kind of depends on what
you press
units
stuff open, and then I take it to the long arm. Yeah, so
don't give me that screenshot. I don't want that one of me making that face. You guys can just pause it yourself and screen cap it.
It could be the Hulk thing.
Do that one.
Oh my gosh! And people really watch this. That's what cracks me up. So anyway, I press the dark because you're gonna get that. It has a more potential to have stress on those seams. Not that it really does, but
so if it's a wall hanging, would you press it open versus a functional quilt that you're using on the couch or a bed?
Okay, 9 times out of 10, the wall hangings that I do are applique, so it doesn't have a lot of piecing in it. But I think it's just habit. I press the dark. And I think I'm trained. I've trained myself to press the dark. So I don't think I press them open. I press things open when there's like 8 points coming together.
Yes.
And there's no way you're going to sew through this thick of, then I press it open.
Are you pressing from the front or the back? Do you know what I mean?
I press from the front.
Okay, me too. So what that means in my head, I don't know if the same as what's in Lynn's head. The half square triangle is pieced, and I put it so the light side of the fabric is down and the dark fabric is on top, and then I flip it open and then I press that way.
But before I flip it open and press, I run my iron. Actually, I use a dry iron 9 times out of 10. I run my iron on the back of that seam to get that flat first before I turn it up. So I press the edge, then I turn it up and press. So that I've creased that edge really well before I press to the dark. But that's exactly white sides down, light sides down, dark sides up.
Yeah.
Press and then flip and press.
If I try to just fold it open and lay it face down, then inevitably there's some weird crease that happens and it's not fully open.
Yeah.
So, pro tip.
But then if I press that when it's half square or when it's in the triangle thing and I press it first, it crisps that edge enough that stays flat. So that it's flatter when I do press it. And maybe that helps with less bulk. Because I don't really the bulk thing. I don't know. I don't think about it. But
if you're doing a pinwheel where there's 4 of them coming together,
I still do it.
Do you spin that seam?
I'm not good at spinning. I know other people do. I don't. You need to teach me how to do that.
I gotta do a little video on it.
Yeah, do a little video on the spin seam thing.
Okay.
Because that's I've done it, but I don't think I do it enough that I remember how to do it. I'd have to read something or watch a video. So if you made one, then I could watch it and learn.
Yeah, you could.
There you go.
All right, I will record a little video. Maybe this week if the rain stops and there's decent light.
Yes,
we're limiting factor right now.
We're getting a lot of rain.
Alrighty.
So anyway.
So we good on half square triangles?
I think I'm good.
I think I'm good too.
Okay. So now we're going to take a closer look at the Emilio baby quilt, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We are going to talk about, we got a suggestion from a viewer that they wanted to learn more about fabric postcards. And this is actually a class that I teach on how to do fabric postcards. And I love making them. So we'll just talk about how to do them and stuff. Do you make fabric postcards?
I made some.
Yes.
I find that I have to be in the mood to be super artsy and just kind of let things go, and I'm not frequently in that mood. So I don't make them as often as you do. Because as we mentioned, I, organize my pins in the section of their
Yeah,
pincushion.
you do other stuff. Like I have I just have fun.
Okay, so first, Lynn, can these be mailed?
They can be mailed. You can mail fabric postcards. The key with them is that they can't have things that are attached to them, like if you do beading or put buttons on them, that are over, I think, quarter inch
thickness.
Yeah.
So this thickness.
Yeah. So.
Or you'll have to pay extra postage.
You do.
Or honestly, they might get ripped off in the sorting machine. Or do they sort it by hand?
I think they hand stamp them. They have to hand stamp them, kind of thing. So, but why I like fabric postcards is because, and look, I have stacks of these.
She's got like
seriously.
A fragillion. We could make it rain, but then we'd be
rain.
Hit the head with postcards.
All kinds
and that
of
would
coolness.
Be a different YouTube channel.
It would be. Well, there's a lot of reasons I like fabric postcards. One, it's a quick fix. Like if I'm feeling creative and I want to do something, I want to get something finished because I've been working on a quilt with bajillion half square triangles and I can't get it done, so I'm not feeling that accomplishment. I can make a fabric postcard in an hour or less and be totally completed, done, and go, look, I made this cute little thing. Ta-da. Ta-da. So it's kind of I get something done. I feel productive.
So do you keep scraps specifically to make postcards, or are these just random? You just grabbed fabric that you had.
I grabbed fabric that I had, but I don't cut my fabric scraps up like you do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I have fabric scraps all the time that I just throw together. Like, this one, the background of this one was left over from a quilt. So it was like already sewn together and I just kind of cut up the block a little bit. And this one, I think the other thing about, do that landscape one again. The other thing about, I think the postcards, I think that are really interesting is that you can try new techniques in a smaller form to see if you like it. So you don't have to commit to a big project, just do a little project. So I was practicing doing landscapes and just a really simple top stitch applique. And so I got this cute little mountain scene by doing a landscape, which is nice. And they're great gifts. I taught a class once where we did all these Christmas fabrics. It was close to Christmas time. And so one of the students said, I always host a Christmas dinner at our house, and I'm going to make fabric postcards for everybody's place setting. And so then it became their little gift as they took it home, and it was just their like name tag. So it doesn't have to be a postcard, but it could be their name tag, and it could be special that you made for them. So I thought that was a really cute idea.
Yeah, what I like too with novelty prints, lots of times you get random odd bits that you don't want to just throw away. You're like, well, Tinkerbell, I want to keep it. And it's the right size just to go in the middle there and just add some other fabrics that coordinate.
Right. And novelty fabrics are great. The other thing that I really like about the postcards or fabric postcards are it allows you to try other stitches on your sewing machine. Nice. You know, we buy these really expensive sewing machines, or a lot of us have these really expensive sewing machines, and we use.
Sometimes they just show up in your house for free, Lynn. I don't.
Oh, really?
Never spend $1 bajillion on a sewing machine.
Really? But they have all these different stitches on them that people don't use, and I think the fabric postcards allow me to go, I wonder what this stitch looks like. And can it be a stem or a leaf? So it allows me to do that. Try all the different threads. Like there's these gorgeous threads out there, and I don't always use them in piecing quilts.
Yeah.
Because who wants variegated?
Well, you can't see it.
Yeah. But you want to see it, and you don't always quilt with variegated thread or whatever. So it allows me to try all these different stitches. So I like that part about it. Great way to use scraps. Like these are just, and I sat down with a novelty fabric print for this. I have a series of these. I sat down with a novelty fabric print And then I just came up with a bunch of scraps and just started piecing them together like you would do an old crazy quilt. I foundation pieced it on some scrap batting. A way to use up scrap batting.
Okay. So how do you actually make one, Lynn?
How do I make one? Okay, so quick, easy way is I take a piece of batting or
Peltex.
Peltex. You can take Peltex, or I take a piece of batting, right? So this is my batting, and I usually have it a little bit bigger than what I'm going to end up with.
So typical size is about 4 by 6 inches.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I use, and I know we talked about this in a couple of episodes back, but I use comic book backer board for my postcard to give it the stability I want. So I'm sewing through cardstock, really. And the comic book backer board is, again, archival safe. So it's
acid-free.
Not acid-free, so it's going to be good for your fabric. So I start with batting, a piece bigger than my comic book backer board, right? And then I just start sewing strips down that I want on there. So I foundation piece it. So I lay 2 pieces of fabric right sides together, sew a line, turn and flip, and I do that to cover the whole thing. Now, I may not do it in a straight line. I may do it in a, kind of like a crazy quilt type of design. I think
or there's like a tiny block.
Or a tiny block.
And then you just frame it.
Or stuff like that. So, and then once I've got the whole thing covered, then I go back with either an applique that I'm going to put on there from a novelty fabric. I decorate it with stitches that I want. And I have a rule of 3. If I'm playing with my stitches, my rule of 3 is I use the same thread 3 times.
Okay.
And so that I'm getting consistency of color kind of in it. And that way it can be really scrappy, but it can have a look to it. And I do them usually in a series. Like I probably made 10 of these at the same time because it was easy. You already had all the stuff out, so you made them. And then the other thing that you can do is you can add buttons, right? And then you can couch some thread, some yarn on there, which I think is really fun.
Which is essentially laying the yarn down and you can like glue baste it, little dabs of fabric glue.
If you want to,
fabric glue or like Elmer's school glue will work too.
Yep.
And then just kind of zigzag stitch over that. This is a chenille yarn that's kind of fluffy. And if you are a crocheter or a knitter and you have random yarn scraps, that's a good way to use them up if you don't have enough to make like another hat or a scarf or something.
Right. So, and then once I'm done with however I'm going to decorate it, I take the comic book backer board and I have a stamp, but you can write this into, but I write postcard on the top and you leave room for the address, or I actually stamp it. Some of these stamps I think you can see the stamp maybe with that one. We'll take a close-up picture so you guys can see these. Mm-hmm. So, and then it leaves the space for your address and then your note and then where to put the stamp. And I do that before I attach it. Because if you're doing it after you attach it, it's got buttons on
Bubbly.
it. It's like, it
Wibbly
doesn't.
Wobbly.
Yeah, wibbly. Because I use a stamp, so I want it to be flat. So once I do that, then I take the comic book board and I use an adhesive 505 temporary adhesive spray. And I spray it lightly, and then I attach it to the back of my batting, position it and attach it to the back of the batting where the spray is. And then I essentially go around the edge of that with a buttonhole or blanket stitch. You can also use a zigzag, and I just do the edge of that, and then I trim. Done. And then I have a cute little postcard.
Wait, so you trim after you stitch it down?
Yeah, I do.
Do mine different. I trim first.
Do I do that? Wait, maybe. Oh, no, you're right. I trim first after I apply it. Then I stitch it down. You're right. That's how I do it.
So some of these, it looks like you've used a zigzag. Some are a straight stitch. So this is a different one where I've done this before, where you get your base down and then you sprinkle. This is sequins. I have used from scrapbooking. I had gotten It's a little collection of metal letters.
Yep.
And then I have kind of stitched them in, and it like spells out hi or hello or,
Right.
what's up.
This one's actually not done. I just did this as a step. So you leave it open, put your sequins in, and then stitch. You stitch on 3 sides. Leave it open, put whatever things you in there. Stitch the top. Then you trim it, and then you would go back over this with a zigzag, so it's not really done. So,
Yeah.
But these are just, I don't know, they're fun. Oh, here's the others. Here's the second step where you leave this open, and you would put that in, kind of thing. So, but they're just, and you do cute little, I don't know, I think they're neat. I've given them to friends, and they're so impressed. Like, oh my gosh, you made this? I'm like, yeah, and it took me like 20 minutes,
And what's nice too, like if you're doing a big holiday mailing, and I kind of waffle on what sort of Christmas cards we send out. Honestly, I haven't sent them out in a couple of years because I was tired. But we've done like the family photo cards, and then I have done for some friends, particularly for in-person gifts, so I don't have to mail them, because I do kind of worry like, ooh, I hope it doesn't get messed up in the mail, where I have done just Christmas themed fabric postcards, and that's been the tag on the gift too. So you don't even have to do them this big. You can make them.
Oh yeah, you can make them half this size easy for tags. Or
now I will say
this has got the stitching on the edge. So this was like an example in class of the 3 steps.
So you're using blank cardstock and stamping or writing. What I have done,
I've seen this. I think this is cute. I saw what you did.
My mom and my grandmother both kind of would collect postcards or buy postcards on whatever trip we were on, and then you just save them because you're like, oh, I just want this memory. And my mom sent me her postcard collection a couple years ago, and I was like, I don't remember going to these places. Okay,
we went all these places.
So I used actual postcards from like 1979. Dollywood or whatever, that was in the 80s, I think, or whenever that was first. So all these places my parents have visited. Sometimes I was with them, but I was too young to remember. And I have like sewn this directly onto a postcard. So you're like, oh, look at this cute mountain scene. You flip it over, you're like, the Star Trek Museum in Los Angeles, da-da-da-da-da, because there's like a little blurb about the place, and it's like, what's happening there? So that's kind of fun and interesting too.
Well, and the other thing is I will write, like put little messages on the postcard, that just use a Pentel fabric ink pen and
like
then
a gel roller.
Yeah, a gel roller, and stitch that down. So this was cute. Your dad would like this.
Wouldn't he though? Yeah.
He's a golfer, so this was for a golfer fan. So I love them. And you can practice new techniques and just be small. Like I've done thread painting. If you're not comfortable with thread painting, it's a way to practice thread painting.
Or you can chop up projects you don't like and turn them into postcards.
Exactly.
Kind of like, that's the ugly fabric rule. If it's still ugly, you didn't cut it small enough.
Exactly.
Same thing with projects that are ugly.
And they're just so stinking cute.
Okay, we need to show this one because this one is bananas.
Well, that one's a gift. I didn't actually do that one. That one was a gift from a friend.
Yes, the same friend made me one.
And it is banana. And then you get them as gifts and you collect them. Like I have gifts from other friends that do postcards, and I love them.
This same friend made me one with Star Trek fabric on it, and it's Spock, because he's my dude. And it says, you better trek yourself before you wreck yourself, or check yourself before you trek yourself. I don't know. It was super cute, and it stayed on my fridge for years. I got to figure out where it went. I think one of the kids absconded with it.
I've got one upstairs that a friend gave me, and it was the Lucy and Ethel. When they came up with that novelty fabric, and it said Friends or something on it. It was really cute. I was like, oh, sweet. So, yeah, I love, as you can tell, I love postcards. I think they're fun to do and interesting. And so
they're a good way to jazz up a maybe so-so birthday gift too. Like, oh, I got you a candle.
And
a fabric postcard.
And a fabric postcard. Look, I didn't just go to the dollar store. I actually spent time.
Price check.
It's $1. So, but what I was going to say was that these are, I don't know what I was going to say.
They're amazing and fabulous.
They're amazing and fabulous. And, if you want us to come teach, I will be happy to come teach you how to do really fun and cool postcards. Oh, I do know what I was going to say. This was actually one of the big fundraisers at the quilt show.
Yes, for our guild.
For our guild was postcards, and we sold a ton of them. And I think because they're so stinking cute, one, and everybody was donating to them. But the person who was in charge of it, they were selling them, and they were going, "You can take a quilt home for $5."
Yeah, they're $5 a piece.
I mean,
2 for $10, 4 for $20. What?
What?
Amazing.
So, but it's a piece of artwork. I mean, it's a little piece of artwork. And I don't know, you can frame, I mean, seriously, this one could be framed. People would think you're amazing. Kind of deal. So
you could be the Bob Ross of fabric postcards.
You could be.
You just put a little happy tree in there.
A little happy tree. It just
happy
a little happy tree. The problem, and a little lake.
Yeah.
You could probably
do
draw
like
a guy skiing or something.
Or crashing. That would I would do the skis sticking up.
I did one where it was this hillside thing, and then I took little bits of batting and sewed it down, and then drew little legs and a little face, and it was like little sheep on a hill. Super cute. Super cute. You know, I'd been to New Zealand. They have sheep everywhere. So, I love New Zealand.
Welcome to No Context Theater.
I was talking about sheep. How is that no context? Their number one export of New Zealand is
they export sheep?
Sheep products, yes.
Sheep products, not the whole sheep.
Well, wool.
Yes.
And
what else do you get out of sheep, Lynn? Sheep squeezins? What is this? Lanolin?
Lanolin?
That's sheep squeezins.
Yeah, we've digressed yet again. This is not shocking.
Roll. Okay, so mailing. So
you can mail
regular postcard postage, or do you need extra?
I think you can do regular postcard postage. I don't mail mine. I give it to them.
That's true.
Because some of them have, beads and stuff on them. So,
yeah. So,
look at that cute.
Please verify, because I don't even know the postcard postage rate right now. And if I did, by the time you watch this in the future, it's probably changed.
Yes, right.
So, check your local postage rates.
Right.
Sometimes they do need to be hand stamped at the post office instead of like chuck it in the U.S. You can put it in your mailbox and put the flag up. Sometimes they just look at it weird, like, I got a post office. Our mailman sometimes leaves passive aggressive notes about the state of your mailbox or how close you park to it or any of that. But I think our guy would look at it kind of like, I don't know about that.
No, so I don't mail mine. I usually just give it to people or sell them to people at the quilt show. So, but love teaching the class. It's a great, fun class.
Yeah.
Very creative. Lots of stuff. Teach how to couch, do different stuff. It's fun.
So, have you ever made or received a fabric postcard? Swaps go on. So let us know. Leave a comment on our blog or on the YouTube episode. And that's all we have for this episode. Today's show is made possible by Ink and Arrow Fabrics, because fabric should be fun. You can learn more about them and their fun fabrics at inkandarrowfabrics.com.
We'd like to thank 77 Peaches and Big Think Productions for helping us produce The Stitch. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe.
The next virtual stitch-in's Friday, October 14th at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern, broadcast live on our YouTube channel. My podcast, Have to Be a Squares, out Fridays on iTunes or Google Play.
And all those details and more can be found on our website, thestitchtvshow.com. Tune in next time for more quilting chat with friends.